People see NVIDIA today and they think our path was a straight line, a destiny written in the stars. But the reality is that we were forged in the fire of near total failure. In 1997, we were 30 days from bankruptcy. We had built our first product, the NV1, and it was a complete failure. We had used a technology, quadrilateral texture mapping, that the industry decided not to follow. Microsoft announced DirectX based on triangles, and overnight, our technology became obsolete. We were a tiny company running out of cash, and our dream was effectively dead. I remember the feeling in my gut, the weight of the responsibility for the families who had bet their futures on us. I had to do something that felt impossible. I had to go to the CEO of Sega, who had contracted us to build their next console chip, and tell him that our technology was the wrong path. I had to ask him to cancel the contract, but to pay us in full anyway, or we would go out of business. It was an act of extreme humility. It was admitting we were wrong. To my amazement, he agreed. He gave us the 6 months of life we needed to build the Riva 128. That chip had to be perfect. There was no margin for error. We were 30 days from the end, and that urgency, that run, don't walk mentality, became the DNA of NVIDIA. We learned that failure is not the end. It is the ultimate teacher. It forces you to strip away the noise and focus on the first principles. Today, we find ourselves at another crossroads, but this time, it's not just about one company's survival. It's about the fundamental transformation of how the world computes. For decades, we lived in the era of general-purpose computing. We relied on the CPU to follow a sequence of instructions, and we relied on Moore's law to make those instructions faster and cheaper. But the laws of physics have caught up with us. We can no longer shrink transistors fast enough to keep up with the exponential demand for intelligence. General-purpose computing has run out of steam. This is why we have pioneered accelerated computing. We don't just build chips, we build the entire stack, from the architecture to the software to the networking, to solve problems that a CPU could never touch. And now we are entering the most exciting phase of this journey. For the last 2 years, the world has been captivated by chatbots. We've all seen the magic of large language models. You type a prompt and the machine talks back. It's incredible. It's the iPhone moment of AI. But I am here to tell you, forget chatbots. Chatbots are just the beginning. They are a window into the soul of the machine, but they are not the machine itself. The next great leap, the revolution that is happening right now inside the labs of NVIDIA and the world's leading AI companies, is Agentic AI. To understand Agentic AI, you have to go back to first principles. What is a computer? Historically, a computer was a tool that followed instructions. You gave it a command, it performed a calculation, and it gave you a result. A chatbot is a sophisticated version of that. It takes your prompt and generates a response. But an agent is something fundamentally different. An agent doesn't just talk, it acts. An agent has a goal. It can reason, it can plan, it can use tools, it can break a complex problem into smaller pieces, execute those pieces, and iterate until the goal is achieved. Imagine an AI that doesn't just tell you how to write a piece of software, but actually goes into the code base, identifies the bugs, writes the tests, fixes the code, and deploys it. Imagine an AI that doesn't just give you a summary of a market report, but actually researches the competitors, analyzes the supply chain, contacts potential partners, and presents you with a finished strategic plan. This is the shift from AI as a consultant to AI as a worker. We are moving from a world of passive intelligence to a world of active agency. This transition requires a massive leap in computational power. This is why Blackwell exists. When we designed Blackwell, we weren't just thinking about how to make a faster GPU for training models. We were thinking about how to build the infrastructure for a world populated by millions and eventually billions of autonomous agents. These agents will be running 24/7. They will be communicating with each other. They will be simulating the physical world to understand the consequences of their actions. The demand for compute is no longer just about training. It's about inference at a scale we have never imagined. It's about reasoning time compute. I often talk about the importance of our flat structure at NVIDIA. People ask how I can manage 50 direct reports. It's because I don't manage them in the traditional sense. I provide them with context. In the era of agentic AI, the old hierarchies of the corporate world will crumble. When you have AI agents that can perform tasks with the proficiency of a junior employee, the bottleneck becomes the flow of information and the clarity of the mission. At NVIDIA, we operate as a single organism. We have no status updates because everyone already has the context. We focus on the work, not the politics. This is exactly how the AI factories of the future will operate. They will be networks of human creativity amplified by agentic intelligence, moving with the same urgency we felt during the Rive 128 days. The work of your life is to build things that didn't exist before. That is the only way to create true value. If you are doing what everyone else is doing, you are just a commodity. At NVIDIA, we look for the hardest problems. We look for the things that are impossible. Building a system like Blackwell, which integrates 208 billion transistors and connects them with a 1.8 terabyte per second interconnect, was considered impossible. Solving the thermal challenges of a 120 kilowatt rack was considered impossible. But we did it because we started with first principles. We didn't ask, how do we make the old system better? We asked, what does the future of intelligence require? The future of intelligence requires a move away from the retrieval model. In the old world, if you wanted information, you searched for it. You retrieved it from a database. In the new world of agentic AI, intelligence is generated. It is manufactured on demand. When an agent is solving a problem for you, it is simulating thousands of possibilities in real time. It is using its brain, the Blackwell cluster, to hallucinate success and avoid failure before it ever takes an action in the real world. This is what I call physical AI. It's the marriage of the digital brain with the physical world. This is why we created Omniverse. You cannot train an agent to operate a factory or drive a car just by showing it videos. It needs to experience the laws of physics. It needs to feel gravity, friction, and heat. In Omniverse, we create a digital twin of reality where agents can live 1,000 lifetimes in a matter of hours. They learn from their failures in the virtual world so they can be perfect in the physical world. This is the path to true autonomy. But let's be clear, this revolution is not going to happen slowly. The speed of AI is not following Moore's law. It is following something much faster. We are seeing a 10x improvement every year. If you wait to see how things turn out, you will be left behind. The gap between the companies that embrace agentic intelligence and those that don't will be a canyon that cannot be crossed. This is why I tell students, I tell CEOs, and I tell world leaders, run, don't walk. We are building a new layer of the world's infrastructure. This is the new industrial revolution. In the 1800s, we built factories to turn steam into mechanical power. In the 1900s, we built power plants to turn coal into electricity. Today, we are building AI factories to turn data into intelligence. And just like the steam engine and the electric motor, agentic AI will find its way into every single industry. It will transform healthcare, it will transform finance, it will transform manufacturing, and it will transform how we think about ourselves. People are often afraid of this change. They worry about what it means for the future of work. I have a different perspective. I believe that AI will be the greatest tool for human empowerment in history. It will take the drudgery out of work. It will handle the repetitive, the mundane, and the data-heavy tasks that drain our energy. It will allow us to focus on what we are uniquely good at: creativity, empathy, and high-level strategy. Every person will become the CEO of their own personal army of agents. Your potential will no longer be limited by the number of hours in the day, but by the scale of your ambition. I remember back at Denny's where I started as a dishwasher. I was 15 years old. I was shy. I didn't want to talk to anyone, but that job forced me out of my shell. It taught me that every part of a system matters. If the dishes aren't clean, the restaurant fails. If the waiter is slow, the restaurant fails. A restaurant is a complex system of agents, humans, working together toward a goal. Agentic AI is simply the next evolution of that system. It's about creating a more efficient, more capable, and more imaginative world. But to get there, we have to be willing to endure the pain and suffering of invention. We have to be willing to throw away our old ideas. We have to be willing to admit when we are wrong, just as I did with Sega. We have to be humble enough to realize that the methods that got us here will not get us to where we are going. The era of the chatbot was the warm-up. It was the demo. Now the real work begins. We are building the reasoning engines of the future. We are building the agents that will help us solve the climate crisis, the agents that will help us cure cancer, and the agents that will help us explore the solar system. This is why Blackwell is so much more than a chip. It is the bedrock of the agentic era. When we see the demand for Blackwell, we don't just see a sales number. We see the world's hunger for a new kind of capability. We see the birth of 1 million new companies that will be AI native from day one. These companies won't have thousands of employees. They will have a handful of humans and thousands of agents. They will be leaner, faster, and more innovative than anything we have seen before. We are at the very beginning of this. The first agents are already here. They are writing code, they are designing circuits, they are optimizing logistics, but soon they will be everywhere. They will be in your pocket, in your car, and in your office. They will know your preferences, they will anticipate your needs, and they will work tirelessly to help you achieve your goals. This is not science fiction. This is the logical conclusion of the first principles of accelerated computing. I want you to think about the problems in your own life, in your own business, that you have labeled as impossible. Maybe the data is too messy. Maybe the complexity is too high. Maybe the cost of human labor is too prohibitive. Those are the problems that Agentic AI is designed to solve. Don't look at AI as a way to do the old things better. Look at it as a way to do things you never dreamed were possible. Does that mean it will be easy? No. It will be incredibly hard. It will require us to rethink our education systems, our legal frameworks, and our social contracts. But we have been through these transitions before. We moved from the farm to the factory and from the factory to the office. Each time we became more productive, more prosperous, and more capable. The transition to the agentic world will be the biggest one yet, but it will also be the most rewarding. Everything we do at NVIDIA is focused on this one goal, to be the engine of human progress. We don't care about the stock price today. We care about the state of computing 10 years from now. We are willing to be misunderstood for a long time. We are willing to invest billions in technologies that won't pay off for a decade. That is the resilience that comes from having been 30 days from bankruptcy. When you have looked death in the face, you are no longer afraid of the dark. You are only afraid of standing still. The demand for intelligence is infinite. The world will take every single token we can produce, but the demand for agency is even greater. The world doesn't just want to know things, it wants to do things. And as we scale Blackwell, as we scale Omniverse, and as we scale our software libraries, we are providing the world with the power to act. We are providing the world with agency. This agency is not just a software feature. It is a fundamental shift in the architecture of human productivity. For the first time in history, we are creating a form of labor that doesn't sleep, doesn't tire, and possesses the collective knowledge of our species. When I say the demand for Blackwell is insane, it is because the world's largest enterprises have realized that the cost of not having these agents is far higher than the cost of the infrastructure to run them. We are moving from a world where you buy tools to a world where you hire intelligence. Think about the first principles of an enterprise. What is a company? It is a collection of processes designed to achieve a goal. Historically, those processes were executed by humans using software, but software was rigid. It did exactly what it was programmed to do, and nothing more. If the situation changed, the software broke, and a human had to intervene. Agentic AI changes that. We are building systems that can navigate ambiguity. We are building systems that can self-correct. If an agent encounters a problem it wasn't specifically programmed for, it uses its reasoning time compute, powered by the Blackwell architecture, to find a workaround. It thinks before it acts. This is the difference between a chatbot that guesses the next word and an agent that simulates the next outcome. This reasoning capability is the holy grail of AI, and it is why we are seeing this explosion in demand. We have moved beyond the era where we just needed enough compute to train a model. Now, we need even more compute to allow that model to think during inference. When you ask an agentic system to design a new cooling system for a data center, it might run 10,000 simulations in the background before it presents you with the best design. That is inference energy being turned into intellectual value. This is why every data center on Earth is being transformed into an AI factory. We are no longer just storing data, we are manufacturing reasoning. But to build these factories, we have to be willing to solve the impossible problems of physics. People ask me about the heat, they ask about the power, they ask how we can keep scaling when we are already using hundreds of kilowatts per rack. The answer lies in the first principles of energy efficiency. We move to liquid cooling not because it's cool, but because it is the only way to sustain the density of computation required for agentic reasoning. We move to NVLink not because it's a faster cable, but because the brain of an agent needs to be distributed across dozens of chips without any latency. We are building a nervous system for a new kind of entity. I often think about the culture we've built at NVIDIA to handle this. People ask me why I don't have a corner office, why I'm always on the move. It's because I want to be an agent within my own company. Our flat structure is designed to minimize the latency of decision making. In a world of agentic AI, the speed of your organization must match the speed of your technology. If your AI can solve a problem in seconds, but your management takes weeks to approve the solution, you have failed. We operate with a sense of productive paranoia. We are constantly looking for the next bottleneck, the next failure point. We embrace the exhaustion because we know that the moment we stop running, we become obsolete. This is the message I have for every industry. The chatbots were the introduction, but the agents are the revolution. If you are a CEO and your primary AI strategy is just giving everyone a chatbot, you are missing the point. You need to be thinking about how to integrate agents into your core supply chain, into your R&D, and into your customer service. You need to be building a company where humans provide the vision and the ethics, and agents provide the execution at a scale that was previously unimaginable. And this brings us to the future of the physical world. We are seeing the rise of physical AI agents. These are agents with bodies, robots. For 30 years, robotics was hard because we tried to program them with rules. If this, then that. But the real world is too messy for rules. You cannot write enough code to tell a robot how to handle every possible obstacle in a warehouse. But you can train an agentic model in Omniverse. You can give it a goal, let it fail 1,000,000 times in simulation, and let it develop its own intuition for physics. When that agent is then placed into a physical robot, it doesn't just follow a script, it understands its environment. It has agency. The demand for this technology is insane because it represents the solution to the world's most pressing problems. We have aging populations, we have labor shortages in critical industries, we have a desperate need to increase the efficiency of our energy grids and our transportation networks. Agentic AI is the only way to bridge the gap. It is the only way to decouple economic growth from the limitations of human labor. This is not about replacement, it is about expansion. It is about allowing humanity to reach for things that were simply too complex or too expensive to do before. But I want to remind you of the humility required for this work. We are building the most powerful technology in history, but we must do it with a deep sense of responsibility. We must ensure these agents are safe, that they are transparent, and that they are aligned with human values. This is why we are open sourcing so much of our work, why we are building ecosystems like CUDA and Omniverse that everyone can use. We don't want to be the only company with this power. We want to be the platform that empowers everyone else. I remember the feeling of being at Denny's, refilling coffee and clearing plates. I didn't think I was building a tech empire back then. I just thought about doing the job as well as it could be done. I thought about the system of the restaurant, how everything had to work in harmony. That same principle applies to Blackwell, to agentic AI, and to the future we are building. Every part matters. Every engineer, every line of code, every customer feedback. We are all part of a massive parallel system of innovation. And so, my warning to you is this: the era of passive computing is over. The era where you could just wait for the next version of a software package is gone. We are in a run, don't walk era. The speed of agentic AI is breathtaking. It is a compounding force. The more agents you have, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the better your agents become. This is a positive feedback loop that will reshape the global economy in a matter of years, not decades. Look at the first principles of your life and your work. What are the tasks that consume your time but don't contribute to your vision? Those are the tasks for your agents. What are the problems that you've given up on because they were too hard? Those are the problems for your AI factories. We are giving you the tools to be more than you are. We are giving you the tools to be a visionary, a creator, an explorer. Blackwell is the engine. Omniverse is the world. Agentic AI is the mind. Together, they represent the greatest leap in human capability since the invention of the steam engine. But it requires you to be brave. It requires you to embrace the failure and the suffering that comes with learning a new way of being. It requires you to wake up every morning and realize that you are 30 days from a totally different world. I am more excited today than I was the day we started NVIDIA. I am more energized by the insane demand for our work than I ever have been, because I see what you are doing with it. I see the researchers using our GPUs to find new ways to capture carbon. I see the doctors using our agents to personalize cancer treatments. I see the young entrepreneurs building companies that would have required 1,000 people just a decade ago. This is why we do what we do. This is why we endure the exhaustion. The future is not a destination. It is a choice. It is a choice to keep pushing, to keep questioning, and to keep building. We are building a world where intelligence is no longer a scarce resource, but a fundamental right. We are building a world where everyone can have an army of agents to help them achieve their dreams. That is the truth of where we are going. It is the logical, irrefutable conclusion of the revolution we started 30 years ago. Thank you for being part of this journey. Thank you for pushing us to be better. We are just getting started, and the road ahead is more beautiful and more challenging than anything we have ever seen. Run, don't walk. Before you go, I want to make sure you stay connected to this revolution. If you found this vision for Agentic AI and the future of Blackwell inspiring, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It helps us grow this community of innovators. Also, I know this is a lot to take in. If you have questions about Agentic AI, how to implement these strategies, or what we're doing at NVIDIA, please leave them in the comments below. I will be looking through them, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. I want to hear your thoughts. The logical conclusion of our era is this: intelligence is the new electricity, and agency is the new labor. In a world where the marginal cost of both is heading towards zero, the only limit is your imagination. That is the truth. Run, don't walk, thank you.